Ladies and gentlemen, I'm meadsy69. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to have a look at the Fresh Prince of Wotb. The Fresh Prince of Wotb. And that is, of course, the Black Prince. A tier 7 British heavy tank that is actually fantastic. It really is fantastic. It used to be probably one of the most boringest tier 7s in the game, but Wargaming buffed it a while ago, like quite a while ago. The armor's pretty decent, but it's all about the DPM with this tank. Now, I am running it with calibrated shells because the reload is so small that it doesn't really make a difference if you run it with the rammer, like literally minimal. So you've got 1700 hit points. Your turret is fairly strong at 152, and your hull is also strong in some places at 180 millimeters. So again, against tier 6s, they will struggle to penetrate you. Now, you're not the quickest of tanks, but your DPM is almost 3000. Running it with calibrated shells, of course, you do lose a little bit, but it's minimal. Because the reload is so small, you don't lose too much. So I would definitely run this tank with calibrated shells rather than the rammer. So you'll reload 3.39 seconds. So of course, it's around about 2.93 seconds if you run it with the rammer. But I would strongly recommend running it with calibrated shells just to up that penetration a little bit more. Because when you do come up against those tier 8 heavy tanks, you will need that penetration. So you've got 180 millimeters on your AP and 251. So using APCR, yes, your DPM is going to drop dramatically, but you will be able to pen most tier 8s. High explosive, 22. So you're not really going to pen anything with high explosives, maybe a Borzik or an Emil or something like that, but I wouldn't really worry too much about the HE. You've got 160 alpha, so it is a low alpha gun, so you do need to constantly fire this gun to get the big amount of damage, but it soon racks up. The damage does soon rack up. 135 for APCR and 200 for your HE. Aim time is 3.8 seconds with the dispersion at 0.330, and you do have a nice 8 degrees of gun depression. As I've said, the speed isn't the greatest of this tank, and it is just 25 kilometers, so it's slow, but again, this is all about a top tier tank. It's definitely a top tier tank. When you come up against tier 8s, you can see the flat parts of the tank, of the front plate. They are quite weak, and they will be able to be penetrated quite easily. Now, against tier 6s, people will have to switch to the APCR. But it's a decent line. The line is a very, very good line to grind. Obviously, the Black Prince is very good. The tier 8, let's just have a look at the line, shall we? So you've got, obviously, the Churchill. And the Churchill, they're both boring. Matilda's fun. The Matilda is fun, especially as a new player, because you get put into the newbie matchmaking, and people do struggle to penetrate you. And the Churchill 1 is probably the worst tank in the game, one of the worst tech tree tanks in the game. The Churchill 7 is okay, but it's not the best. And of course, the Black Prince is where it starts to get a bit better. The Carnarvon is a very good tank. It does now get outshined by the Carnarvon Action X, but it's still a decent tank. The Conqueror is okay. I still think it needs a little something, just like I did in a video a few days ago. It needs something a little extra, just to keep it going, because it's falling behind some of the other tier 9 heavies now. And of course, the end of the line is the FV215B, which used to be very, very good. Then it went very, very bad, and now it is very, very good again. So we're just going to have some replays just to show what the Black Prince is actually capable of. And of course, when you are top tier, now this game here, we're not top tier, but we're not bottom tier. It's all tier 7. So you do have the speed boost as well. So the speed boost does help. You are a slow tank, but you can see with the speed boost, we are doing almost around about 30 kilometers an hour. So it does help for you just to use that to get into battle a lot quicker. Now, do be careful of your sides, because if you do over angle, you will be penetrated very, very easily. And you can just see we can't pen that T28, but as soon as we switch to the APCR, we can penetrate him, and we're doing every 2.8 seconds with the adrenaline. So you're constantly firing this gun, and to do damage you need to constantly fire this gun. Always try to find some targets to shoot, because some people don't understand the Black Prince. They might not have seen it in battle. It's not really that popular of a tank nowadays. When they first buffed it, it was a very, very popular tank. But yeah, you just need to get your angles right. If you get your angles right, you will be able to bounce, but you can see there, we do manage to get bounces. So the armor profile can work on this tank, but don't get caught out, because if you get caught out in the open, then you will be absolutely deleted. And again, tier 7 tanks will be able to shoot your lower plate, and tier 8 tanks, especially even with their normal rounds, will be able to shoot your upper plate and your lower plate. So do bear that in mind. Now, I don't really see this tank as an armored machine. Now, it does have armor. It does have armor, but for me, it's all about that DPM. Now, if you do have a tank in front of you, just angle your tank. Just angle your tank, and there is hope that you will be able to get some bounces. Now, we're just going to bully this T28 HTC here. We're going to get rid of him for our first kill, and you can see we've done 1500 damage, and we've done that pretty easily. You want these kind of angles, you know, don't look directly at this tank. Look at this, we're aiming. If you sort of go into this position, they will be able to penetrate you. But just angle. If you are going to face hug or anything like that, just go in sort of sideways, but don't over angle. Once you get the knack of that, the drift of playing that, the drift of angling, then you will have a lot more fun when you are driving this tank. Now, just one more tank left alive. Now, I'm not going to do any damage into him, so we 1700 damage. I mean, that's not too bad, but it's not the greatest. But we're just going to have one more game here on Mayan Ruins, and we are now against tier 8 tanks. So again, when you are up against tier 8 tanks, make sure you just focus on a tank. You know, don't shoot a load of different tanks. As I've said, you've only got 160 alpha, so you haven't got the greatest amount of alpha. So just focus on the tanks. Focus the tanks that your tanks are shooting as well. Try and get into positions where you can get bounces. And again, it's when you're against tier 8, it's not going to be easy to get some bounces, but you can do it. You can get some bounces, but just bully people with your DPM. Now, if we get a miss or a bounce from this SU-152, if he was in the open, if he didn't have this rock right there, we'd be able to kill this guy before he is even reloaded. So now we're just going to focus on this T29. We should be able to get a shot into him. We could have actually shot HE into the rear of him, but we chose not to. And again, we're just going to wait. We don't want to lose any hit points, especially when we're a tank down. We want to save our hit points for as long as possible. And if you manage to save your hit points later on in the game, you can then use that DPM of yours to just rip into the enemy team. So again, the SU-152 missed his shot. It is now a 4 against 5, and now I'm going to push forward. I've waited for the hit points to drop, and now I'm going to push forward and try to get some damage. I can take a few shots, and again, I do have the DPM. I've got nearly 3000 DPM, so I'll easily be able to take care of this T49. I might be able to take a shot. I might have to take a shot from him, but then I'll be able to just rip into him. But I'm going to now focus on the defender, because I can just see the defender was shooting his magazine. So the chances of him on a reload is actually quite high, because he's backing up. So I really wanted to go for him. It's a 4 versus 4. Now the KV4 has gone for the defender. So you know what? I'm happy to take a shot from this guy around here and just get behind this defender and hopefully be able to kill him. So he's now a 1 shot, and I do manage to take him out. So it's now a 4 versus 3. There goes the T49, and still full hit points. We can now push into this guy, and we don't care if we get shot. We're just going to use that adrenaline, and every 2.8 seconds, all 3 of us here are just going to rush this guy, and he's not going to last very, very long. Now, I do somehow bounce that shot, but we do get that shot. Unfortunately, we don't get the kill. Just 1 tank left. And we're pretty much all full hit points, apart from this this KV4, and it is just the Type 57 left alive. Now, he's not AFK. You can see him moving, but you can see this is a good armoured tank. APCR, no problems into that lower plate. We can penetrate him nice and easy. So yeah, it's a fun tank to play. It is a fun tank to play. If you put it in the right position, right situation, you can just farm the enemy team. And you can see that we've done a decent amount of damage against some tier 8 tanks. So definitely worth the grind. You just have to put up with it because the tier 5 is one of the worst tanks in the game. Tier 6 it's a little bit better, but it is also a bit boring. But it does get more fun when you start driving the Black Prince, the fresh Prince of Wotb. Hope you enjoyed today's video, guys. I'm meadsy69, and I'll catch you all soon. Bye-bye.